this is Amelia from Ask the Bellwether, and today, as part of my County Fair 2014 project that I've talked about on my blog, I wanted to show you how I tie a skein. And I actually tie skeins different ways for different reasons. The yarn that's on this skeiner is fresh off my spindle. I haven't washed it yet. So that's the first time I tie a skein. So I've already wound it around, and oops, it's a single, so I kind of don't want to lose my twist in it. And it begins right here and it ends right here. Now I can't tell you how many times I've wound a skein and the beginning and the end haven't matched up, so I'm going to talk in generic terms because I have to be able to handle the case of no matter where the skein ends. Now I'm also dealing with this being a single and not wanting to lose twist, so the first thing I'm going to do that I'm going to have to undo in a little bit is just tie that first end and fold it back on itself so it can twist on itself so the twist doesn't escape. Okay? Now the first end is actually tied onto the skeiner with a couple of half hitches, so I'm going to loosen them up and undo it. And now my philosophy of tying a skein. I have an inside end, which is where I began, and an outside end, which is where I ended. So I want to be able to tell, because I'm going to need to reskein this after I wash it, which end is which. Because if I reskein it from the outside end, it's actually easier to unwind and rewind if I start there than if I start on the inside end of the skein. So the first thing I'll do is I take this end and I've undone it. I'm going to make a tie where I just go all the way around the skein and I tie it like a tie on my shoe. And I bring it around and through again, and I let that sit. I don't want it too tight because I haven't washed this skein yet. And then I'm going to, because this is a single, I'm going to put a little extra twist in it, fold it back on itself so the twist won't escape. Okay, so that's that end. Now, how do I tell my ends apart? I do this by putting one tie on the inside end, just that one, and all the other ties, all three of them, because I need to have a tie on each of the four sides of my skein, with the outside end. That way, when I go to reskein, I have to undo my ends. I'm going to know which one's the outside end because it has three ties, where the inside end only has one tie. Now in this case, the one tie for my inside end is right here, so I need to do the other three sides. We're just lucky that that's the way that happened with this skein. If the tie had been here, then I would be putting a tie here, here, and here. You see? So, here's my outside end. And I'm going to make two of my ties will just be half hitches. Not too tight, not super loose. That basically, they sit on the surface of the skein without really squeezing it in. So there's one of them. Here's the next one. And then the very last end, which I need to just reach over down here to this side, I will do the same way I did that first end. I'll bring it all the way around, and I'll wrap it around like I'm tying my shoe before I tie the bow, and then I'll bring it around again and pull it up just a little bit. And then again, because it's a single, I put a little extra twist in and fold it over so that the twist won't escape from my yarn. So now I have four ties in my skein, two half hitches and two self ties. As I said, this is how I tie my skein before I wash it. So the next step I'm going to do with this skein is wash it. After I wash it, I'll reskein it, and then I will put ties in either for dyeing or for presenting to the county fair judge. Now, when you put a tie in it for dyeing or for presenting to the county fair judge, you use what's called a figure 8 tie. And that's where you break it in half and you put a string around it and then you tie it loosely with either a knot or a bow. For the county fair, you want a tie that doesn't call attention to itself. I'll usually cut pieces off of the skein and use the yarn itself to make those ties. For dyeing, I'll tend to actually use a white acrylic because it won't pick up dye pretty much no matter how I dye my yarn. And so those are the steps I take for that initial tying of my skein before I wash it. And then if I'm not going to wash it right away, I'll wind it up, not too tight, so it will twirl on itself, and I can store it before I wash it. Thank you.